Hi everyone, welcome to my channel BuildLuck, where I post daily content about Java, Spring Boot, microservices, interview preparation. So if you are preparing for Java, Spring Boot or microservices interview, do check my channel. I post daily content about these topics. Let's not waste any time and start. Here's a Java interview question. What is optimistic read in stamped lock? Optimistic read in stamped lock allows reading without acquiring a full lock. It checks a stamped value before and after the read. If the stamp changes, the read is read-write with a proper lock. This improves performance when writes are rare. Spring Boot interview question. What is Spring Boot Starter Parent? Spring Boot Starter Parent is a special parent POM provided by Spring Boot. It manages dependency versions automatically and provides default plugin configurations. This helps avoid version conflicts and simplifies Maven configuration. Microservices and system design interview question. What is a service mesh? A service mesh is an infrastructure layer that manages services to service communication. It provides features like load balancing, service discovery, encryption, and observability. Tools like Istio and Linked are common service mesh implementations. Java interview question. What is thread interruption in Java? Thread interruption is a mechanism used to signal a running thread that it should stop its current work. The interrupt method sets an internal flag. Methods like sleep or wait may throw interrupted exception when the thread is interrupted. Spring Boot interview question. What is configuration properties annotation in Spring Boot? Configuration properties annotation is used to bind external configuration values to Java objects. It allows grouping related properties together and provides type-safe configuration. This makes configuration easier to manage in large applications. Microservices and system design interview question. What is the sidecar pattern? The sidecar pattern deploys an additional helper service alongside a main service. The sidecar handles cross-cutting concerns like logging, monitoring, or networking. Both services run together in the same container group or pod. Java interview question. What is LockSupport in Java? LockSupport is a utility class used to control thread blocking and unblocking. It provides methods like park and unpark. These methods are used internally by many concurrency utilities like locks and thread pools. Spring Boot interview question. What is Spring Boot startup banner? The startup banner is the ASCII or text banner displayed when a Spring Boot application starts. It can be customized using banner.txt file or disabled using configuration properties. It is mainly used for branding or environment identification. Microservices and system design interview question. What is database per service pattern? Database per service means each microservice owns its own database. Other services cannot directly access it. Communication happens only through APIs or events. This ensures loose coupling and independent service evolution. Java interview question. What is phasor in Java? Phasor is a synchronization barrier similar to cyclic barrier but more flexible. It allows dynamic registration and deregistration of parties. Thread waits until all registered parties reach the barrier before continuing. Spring Boot interview question. What are external configuration sources in Spring Boot? Spring Boot can load configuration from multiple sources such as application.properties, environment variables, command line arguments, and external configuration files. These sources follow a defined priority order. Microservices and system design interview question. What is API composition in microservices? API composition is a pattern where a service gathers data from multiple services and combines it into a single response. This is often used when data is distributed across several microservices. Java interview question. What is Semaphore in Java? Semaphore is a synchronization tool used to control access to a limited number of resources. It maintains a set number of permits. Threads must acquire a permit before accessing the resource and release it afterward. Spring Boot interview question. Which logging framework does Spring Boot use by default? Spring Boot uses Logback as default logging framework. It is configured automatically through Spring Boot starters. Developers can customize logging using configuration files or properties. Microservices and system design interview question. What is Strangler pattern? The Strangler pattern gradually replaces part of a legacy monolithic system with microservices. New functionality is built as separate services while the old system is slowly phased out. Java interview question. What is synchronous queue in Java? Synchronous queue is blocking queue with no internal capacity. Each insert operation must wait for corresponding remove operation. It is commonly used in thread pool implementations. Spring Boot interview question. What is lazy initialization in Spring Boot? Lazy initialization delays bean creation until bean is first requested. This can reduce application startup time. It can be enabled globally using configuration property. Microservices and system design interview question. What is distributed tracing? Distributed tracing tracks requests as they travel through multiple services. It helps identify latency and failures across services. Tools like Zipkin and Jaeger are commonly used for distributed tracing. Java interview question. What is blocking queue in Java? Blocking queue is a thread-safe queue that blocks operation when necessary. If the queue is empty, consumers wait. If the queue is full, producers wait. It is widely used in producer-consumer systems. Spring Boot interview question. What is application events in Spring Boot? Application events allow components with a Spring application to communicate using an event-driven model. One component publishes an event and other listens for it using event listeners. Microservices and system design interview question. What is event sourcing? Event sourcing is design pattern where system state is stored as a sequence of events rather than current data. The current state is reconstructed by replaying these events.